Hey, it's Tony Taylor. I'm doing this leadership interview with Kory Bixler, and it's for my class, my leadership class with Professor Robert McCready. So we're going to begin. All right, so this is my friend. Would you introduce yourself and what you do for a living?
Sure. Should I?
Just look at them.
I'm Kory Bixler, IT manager for ACOM Solutions in Long Beach.
Could you tell us what ACOM Solutions does?
Sure. We're a software and hardware development company dealing with business-to-business, back-end financial applications, and HIPAA-compliant healthcare applications.
Yeah, whatever that means. No, I'm just fine. All right, so we're going to develop a few questions here to try to get Kory's personal style of leadership. I've known Kory for about 8 years, and I know a little bit of what he does. But I don't know everything he does, so I think it'd be quite interesting to learn some of his theories and his ideas. Our class objectives and perspective is to find our own style of leadership as compared to what we've been learning about. And so Kory knows some of these questions, but most of the things are just off the top of his head here. So let's see how he does. I'm going to give him about 10 questions. All right, so Kory, in terms of education and experience, could you give us a little bit about your background?
Sure. Very few years of college. Took a few classes focusing on the labor movement because my initial experience in leadership was all regarding labor. I was a union steward. I grew up in the union. My dad was actually a union president, so that's where a lot of my education came from. And most of it's just the school of hard knocks, just learning by doing.
Most of the people learn that way, it seems like. Well, thinking about the school of hard knocks and about leadership, could you give us a definition of what you call leadership?
Sure. I would consider leadership somebody who obviously leads people, sets objectives for those people, both for personal growth and professional growth, manages those objectives, disciplines when necessary, encourages when appropriate, and takes responsibility for not only himself but also anyone under him.
Perfect. That's a great answer. I'm sorry about my dog. Also, continue on the concept of leadership. What would you say distinguishes you as a leader from other people in your same field?
I believe that what distinguishes me is probably what got me my job and keeps me my job, and that's that I don't say no, and I don't quit. If there's something that needs doing, I work until it's done. I don't blame. I don't point the finger at other people or at the people under me. If it's something that's happened in my area, then it naturally is I'm the one who has to take responsibility for it.
Perfect. It's a great answer, by the way. Continue that idea of what distinguishes you. Is there a difference in leading and managing, in your opinion?
Yeah, I would say there could be a difference if you're talking about leading people, and maybe managing assets. I think a manager could not necessarily be a leader, because a manager might just be managing facilities, making sure that the electric is on, making sure the water's working, making sure that what needs to be stocked is stocked, versus a leader. A leader basically has people following him.
You know, just to continue that thought, would you say that managing is like facilitating something, and directing, leading is more like visionary and kind of being in front?
Yeah, that's pretty appropriate. I would say that the main difference to me is that a leader has people following him. A manager doesn't necessarily have people following him, but just is responsible for certain things that he takes care of.
Kind of makes it like with that old saying that if you're a leader, let's look behind you, see who's actually following you, right? All right, so this is a two-part question, really. In your leadership position right now, as the director over the IT, right? That's the correct term. What skills have you developed to help you as a leader, and what's the most important lesson you've learned in that?
Skills that have helped me would probably be taking responsibility for anything and everything that is linked to or falls under my area. I've definitely developed a thick skin, very thick skin, because if you're in leadership, you know that it eventually falls on your shoulders, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. It's pretty much always your fault. So, yeah, I would say thick skin.
Cool. What about, is that the lesson that you would say what you learned, is a thick skin?
No, well, in terms of a lesson, I recently learned one of the biggest lessons of my career, which is that never push getting something done on time ahead of getting it done correctly. I would definitely say that making sure that all your T's are crossed and all your I's are dotted and double check all your work is much more valuable to your employer than getting things done on time and under budget.
So quality over quantity.
Definitely.
Cool, I like it. Couple more questions here, man. Basically, I asked you this before a little bit, and I think you said Jimmy Hoffa. What would be your own personal style leadership? What would characterize your style of leadership? Sorry.
Well, I grew up in the old years of the labor movement, so the old unions. I was walking picket lines at the age of 6 because my father was a union president, and of course he grew up during those times, the 60s and the 70s. So that, if you watch movies like The Godfather, Wise Guys, that's really the way that those people managed the people that are under them, and hence it was the same way that my father managed the people that were under him, and also the same way that he managed his own family. And so that's kind of the style that I've picked up on. It's not intimidation, it's more relational, as we've discussed, and it seems to work. But that seems to be where I've gotten most of my style from.
Godfather. That's what we call him. Okay, so how about this? Who has been the most influential person in your life in terms of leadership?
The most influential, that would definitely be my father, without a doubt. He was the first leader, obviously, that I had any relationship with. He was, throughout my early adult career, guiding me to follow him in his footsteps, helped me become a local shop steward, a union rep, and then an area rep, and then a district rep. And I've just watched him from the sidelines and the way that he's managed the people that were under him, which were also people that he considered his family. They weren't just employees. They were certainly paid, but they were also very close, and it was very family oriented, very relationship oriented.
That's cool. Two more, brother. We have these last two here is kind of focused on what would be the most difficult aspect that you feel of being a leader is.
Disciplining your underlings, I believe, is the most difficult aspect, because I try and create a bond with the people that work for me, and we joke around, we kid around, we hang out, and it's very difficult when you have to take off the fun clothes and put on the suit and tie and sit down and discipline somebody, write them up if they're doing wrong. I do go way above and beyond to avoid having to formally discipline somebody, and I've had that backfire on me. And so, basically taking off the fun family relational clothes and putting on the suit and tie and giving discipline is probably the most difficult.
That actually makes a lot of sense in terms of being a pastor. I was just actually telling him earlier, since there is no power position in my role, it's very hard to discipline somebody, especially in terms of leadership. And I don't often put on a suit and tie. So, last question: And before we get done here, let me just say thanks for taking time out from your family to be over here, man.
Sure.
I appreciate that. Also, how about this? What advice would you offer for any leaders of the future?
I would advise someone not to be a leader. But if they're dead set on becoming a leader, or they're interested in going in that area, I would say don't take it personally. Definitely develop a thick skin, and know that that the people that are above you are dealing with the same thing that you're dealing with, just on a different level. And always take a deep breath before you respond to any criticism.
That is some great advice. Actually, I actually believe 100%. One of the things you said is just don't take things personally. It's kind of a personal rule of thumb that I tell people in ministry. Rule number one, just don't take things personally. Because if you do, you're always going to be taking things personally. You're always going to have a hard time. So that's it. I'm Tony Taylor. I appreciate this video. Kory, again, thank you very much. Thank you for my wife for videotaping. Thank you for my children for not saying anything while we're videotaping, and for my dog barking. God bless. Thanks a lot.